I think we're clear. We're going to go ahead and take the shot. Salutations, my friends. And thank you for tuning in to another edition of Factions of Freedom. I'm your host, Noise Era, Freedom Faction, whichever one you prefer. And this is show number 1603, season 16, episode 3. And I have titled this episode, Cover Up Culture, Questionable Immunizations, and Epstein's Black Book. Yeah, it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy to see all of the information come out regarding Jeffrey Epstein, jerky, a lot of people beginning to connect the dots of the fact that there may have been a industrial grade cloning operation taking place. Not only in the fact that it's not only child sex trafficking, human trafficking, and things of this nature, but again, that it's a deeper, basically occult ritual, scientific Satanism of a ritual worldwide. Like it really is pretty deep when you go down the rabbit hole of Jeffrey Epstein, and it's crazy. On cue, they've just rolled out a trans shooter all of a sudden to cover up this type of information to try to change the narrative. And I pray to God Almighty that people have not fallen for that trap. And then you look into, how he's even involved in that, the transgender movement, and how the web of Jeffrey Epstein is very, very large in and of itself. And so we have a lot of different things to talk to you guys about this week. Clearly, more information regarding the immunizations, the jabs. It's like literally as all this stuff is going on in the background, you got RFK just saying that, hey, I've removed all the mercury from the vaccines. We're really trying to help take care of the kids, because in the forefront is absolute overt Satanism, absolute overt evil, wickedness, just like elitism to the next level and beyond. We've got one of Joe Rogan's guests, Roger Avery, explaining that the elites actually do worship Satan and sacrifice babies. We also feature Isaac Cappy returning back from the dead. And we didn't really talk about him at the time, but it's now prevalent more than ever with all this information coming out. We've also got Dawson from Dawson's Creek. He passed away. James Vanderbeek, who pushed the AstraZeneca flu shots on the public. He died of turbo cancer. We've also got Dr. William Mackus updating us too about turbo cancers regarding those experimentations. And later on in the show too, we'll also be talking about Trump creating 23 giant warehouses and turning them into detention centers for domestic terrorists and other types of things. A lot of different things to get into in this week's podcast episode. But I figured with the time frame we have now, it's more important than ever that we really kind of, if anything, revive what's going on with Jeffrey Epstein, or if anything, revise it, talk about this type of stuff. I had somebody say earlier this week, we didn't need confirmation. We already knew. And it's like, yeah, well, we knew, but we didn't have context. We understood one aspect of it, but there's the other half, and that's what we're figuring out now. It's like, why are they rolling all this type of stuff out? Because they have something even more sinister coming next. And it's wild to think that here I am doing this for like almost a decade over, and now people are beginning to have this information in the collective psyche. This is what happens with a nation. We are being judged right now. They are putting all this information out there to see how we'll respond to it. Are we going to, I don't know, topple the patriarchy for real? Are we going to come after the monarchy? We've got that coming up. Representative Ro Kahana talking about that, how these Epstein documents, it compromises the integrity of the monarchy and what that implies. We've got a lot of different things to get into and a lot of different angles, but let's pull back on that, man. Really wrap our minds around where we are in the time frame that Jeffrey Epstein is now trending. We've got all kinds of memes coming out about him. People are combing through the documents, running AI through them as well. Very, very comprehensive databases being built, connecting all these dots. 3 million documents is a lot, and there's still more to come. They've removed some of the ones with Trump. We've got that coming up. And so, yeah, we know one aspect of it, and it's becoming very, very clear in a short time frame that this is so much deeper than just human trafficking and child sex trafficking, which is in and of itself evil. You see, so just a very, very information-packed episode. The time frame we're living in is wild. I definitely expect to see a whole lot more, and I truly do think we're only beginning. I think if anything, what we need to do is what everybody else is doing and create our own little database and just plug it into AI, because they didn't release these files as like a zip file or anything like that where you have to download them. Like you're having people comb through them and look at them with reference numbers. So you have to really try to look for things and plug it into like a search function and try to really look for key intel. And you might find, some of the obvious stuff, but it's reading in between the lines. It's putting all the pieces together. It's being the integrator where you begin to see the bigger picture. And the bigger picture and the integration of all of these different multidisciplines is just that, creating a whole new type of human, designer babies. Picking the genetics of so-called elite individuals from around the world, creating new genetics, synthetic people, designer babies, ectogenesis, everything we've covered over here on the show and more. It's pretty crazy. It's like, in a weird way, it's like Cabbage Patch Kids. It's like the island of Dr. Moreau. It is some pretty morose stuff, I'll say that. But without belaboring the point, because we're not going to be getting into the world of science, we're going to be getting right into it. How every 80 to 100 years, the elites do a reset, and it's time for ours. That's why all this stuff is coming out. We are about to see a societal-wide reset, and it's going to be pretty intense with a lot of different things. But that's what we're going to be getting to for the intro. That's kind of the theme that we're going to be having throughout the transmission. And with that being said, let me go ahead and roll into the shill pitch so we can start this show for real. If you guys want to support this operation, the best way to do so is to go to patreon.com/noise. Patreon.com/NOIZCE. That's the best way to support this operation in our current configuration. As you can tell, we are doing a lot. We want to do a lot. We're going to do a lot. It's a labor of love. It's something that we do every single week. Patreon.com/noise. That's the best way to support us in this current configuration. NOIZCE. Eventually, it'll get to a point to where you can't get access to our over 500 plus episodes. We had a bit of a scare just last year where Blog Talk Radio discontinued their services in January, and we had to find a replacement. We had Spreaker. And thank God they've got distribution, because now you can find us on Spreaker, Amazon, Google, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, Alexa, Podcast Addict. Over 500 plus episodes at your disposal, because we have been doing the work, and this ties into the Johnny come latelys and a lot of the people who are just being born now, having the understanding, or at least the curiosity, to look at this type of stuff. A couple of years ago, like I'm trying to tell you, man, it wasn't as popularized. People thought it was taboo. They thought it was silly, but it's not silly. We're literally talking about industrial grade human mutilation and child sacrifice and ritualistic murder on like a global scale. Patreon.com/noise. That's the best way to support us. We were able to recover our YouTube channels from 2014, as well as our backup channel. Pretty sure there's a third one as well. You can find the links for that below. We recently referenced some of our backup and 2014 content in the previous episode with Epstein's hierarchy of evil, as well as Chester Bennington's secrets revealed. These are some of our historical episodes that go over the very content that we're talking about today. But if we didn't have the continued support of our audience, as well as all these different backup channels and all these different decentralizations of our information, it would not be there at your disposal today. Again, we are also broadcasting on the Odyssey. We have a channel that goes back as 2018, season 6 of the show. And it's important to timestamp this stuff, man. We are not Johnny-come-latelys. We are not Susie Suttons. We are not summer soldiers. We are winter soldiers. We've been here when it was good. We've been here when it was bad. We've been here, locked in, having to navigate the world and having to navigate just everything else as well, my friends. But again, patreon.com/noise. That's the best way to support us. You can also find updates inside of our Discord, both of our Telegrams, the Instagram. You guys kind of hear me cogitating, thinking live time on what we're going to do with that, because that really truly is the change engine. A lot of people, like I said, for the couple of weeks that we were posted over there, a lot of people actually kind of reached out to us. I feel and got overwhelmed with the amount of support that we received and kind of just like faded people. But I can't do that. We've got to lean in more. That's where the real action is. Don't run from it. Lean into it. Again, patreon.com. That's the ways to support us. You can support yourself by getting some New Leaf Naturals CBD oil. Using promo code FOWEB25, you can get 10 to 30% off. Get yourself storable goods. Something tells me that we're going to start seeing some fireworks, not only here in the market, but here societally in the next couple of months. They're going to do something to cover this type of stuff up. I'm not sure what it is, a false flag attack, more migrant shootings. I'm not sure, but you need to be prepared for what's coming. Get today's taste at today's rate with today's pace. Get it. Get it now, my friends. And with that being said, let's go ahead and just jump right into this and kick this bad boy off. Here is Catherine Austin Fitts talking about what I just mentioned and how every 80 to 120 years, the elites do a reset. They do what they call a reset. Let's go ahead and pull that up, and then I'll pick it up on the other side. Here is Catherine Austin Fitts with David Nino Rodriguez. We've done a show with him too back in the day. Let's listen.
So for 500 years, Nino, we've had an economic model in the Western world called central banking warfare. The central banks
I
print
thought that's
money.
what the war is right now with Trump. I thought he was going against the Federal Reserve. He's taking gold back. We're getting out of this central banking system. That's what my audience believes. I'm just going to tell you that right now. That's what my audience believes.
Because, and I'll explain why, but let me just explain. The central bankers met and reviewed a plan called the Going Direct Reset in August 2019 at Jackson Hole. If you come to Solari, we have, a book this thick on the whole thing and what the reset is. Every 100 years, every 80 to 120 years, the central bankers do a reset. We are in a reset. It's called the Going Direct Reset. Okay. And the plan was organized and published through the BlackRock Investment Institute. Remember Larry Fink, who's now the acting head of World Economic Forum? Okay, so we are in a reset, and that's what it is. Trump's job is to get whole parts of society going along with it, okay?
To make it as painless as possible?
To make it... to get you to stay asleep until they throw the trap.
Yeah, and she's absolutely right. I hate to burst the people's bubble, but that's what we're dealing with. We are indeed going through a great reset. Just because Klaus Schwab stepped down doesn't mean anything. If anything, that should alarm you. And kind of what they're revealing too with all these Epstein clone type things is that, hey, we may not even be dealing with the right kind of people, or at least normal humans. A lot of those documents talk about body clones, Biden being a robot. What I'm trying to say is they've rolled out all these people, and they themselves have gone to these deep underground military bases, and they're about to do something crazy. But we're going through the great reset. Do not fall asleep. Do not fall for the golden dawn, the golden age, the euphoria. It's like it's crazy, man. Like they have to bull post the market, but we can clearly see that things are not getting better, right? So no, that's the spell of Donald Trump. That's the delusion. But we are indeed going through a reset. That's why when I do a lot of my like deep diving into like the 1600s, the 1700s, the 1800s, that whole time frame, that's where a whole lot of the orphan train talk comes from, the repopulation efforts, the growing of humans, the getting back into like society type thing, because this has happened in the past. We've gone through these cataclysmic events, whether man-made or artificial. Society was wiped out, and then it had to be repopulated. That's definitely a rabbit hole that people should go down. And I'm not saying that we're in that timeline, but what I'm trying to say is they are rolling these things out and allowing these events to take place because they are taking us towards the destination. They are destroying the old world order that we are familiar with, and they are rapidly moving us forward into this new world order, a centralized, high-tech dystopia, a neo-feudalistic, technocratic system, a social credit score, tier-based, caste-based, like overly technotronic society. And this is what we've been documenting for years, showing people for years. You see, so we're in the middle of it. Donald Trump is meant to represent the last gas of American exuberance, the last gas of making America great again, before they pull the rug out from the rug out from up underneath every single one of us. You see, and like David Nino Rodriguez said, he is here to make it easier because he is in alignment with the technocrats. He is in alignment with the Elon Musks. He is in alignment with the Klaus Schwabs of the world, right? But as we talk about this old world order, the American liberal world order, this highly technocratic neo-feudalistic society is the new world order and more. Let's go ahead and proceed. Here is William Tompkins talking about how he knew, he knows all about the Luciferian agenda, but that it would detract away from the UFO agenda.
The blood sacrifices, the whole Luciferian thing, the kids being killed and eaten. I mean, that humans have been eaten and taken off planet, et cetera, and used for slaves in other colonies, et cetera.
I hate to say that, but that's far worse than what you've just said.
It's far worse.
Yes, far worse.
Far worse, yeah.
And that the whole blood situation is it's unbelievable. And
right.
I don't know how we say that to the public. I don't know how. But wait a minute, just a second. On that part of this whole subject, to me, if we get into that, and I know all about it, okay?
All right.
Far more than you know.
Sure.
All right.
I'm sure.
When we get into that, if we release it, 70-80% of everybody that listens to your program is going to say, you're smoking pot. I don't believe that. And I don't believe anything you people talk about on extraterrestrial. And it's going to kill what disclosure is trying to do. That's my opinion.
You know, the pedophilia is starting to be exposed everywhere. You know, that much is coming out.
Oh, yeah. But you know the part that I don't want to talk about.
I hear you.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what's crazy is it's a ladder. It's pedophilia, it's child trafficking, it's child sex trafficking, human trafficking, satanic ritual abuse, and then it gets darker and darker from that point on. And then once we get to the satanic ritual abuse, child mutilation, then we start getting into like the purification of genetics, the search for the perfect genes. And then you've got to ask the question of, well, what is this system that has such disregard or disdain for human life? Like, what is it that they're searching for? And then you've got to ask the question of how can you funnel and feed this many children into this wood chipper? What is it that they want? So yeah, there's a lot of different ways to look at it. Clearly, it's vampirical, right? The harvesting of children's essence and purity. But it's much deeper than that too, which is even scarier. What are these people doing? This is going to be one of those type of episodes, right? And as this information comes out, connecting it to the Cabbage Patch people, the resets of previous time periods, repopulation efforts, global cataclysmic events, chaos and stuff like that, a highly sophisticated society just kind of operating in secret, moving the levers of society, you begin to get this crazier picture that is actually very disturbing. And you have to think about it. Why was Jeffrey Epstein so involved in what was going on in Silicon Valley? Because they were the ones that had the access to the AI, and had the access to the genetics, and have the access to all the technology you would need to clone people, have private laboratories, collect DNA, engage in biohacking, right? Grinding, things of this nature. This is not an isolated event. So the same way we talk about Jeffrey Epstein being like a P. Diddy type, or P. Diddy being a Jeffrey Epstein type, they're birds of a feather. They have these kind of communications. And as this information gets out and people hit critical mass, they're going to have to push a button, shut people up. Can't have the peons and the slaves digging too much into what these people are doing. And they're creating new humans. That's why they have so much disregard for other humans, you see. And we'll talk about that later on. Jeffrey Epstein says that when a woman gets beyond her childbearing years, her reproductive years, she's better off just being like a groomer and a predator. You see, it's because of what these people worship. It's because of what these people believe in. Let's proceed. Speaking of resets, it's starting. Layoffs highest since 2009. Job openings plummet, and Bitcoin and other major cryptocurrencies are crashing. This is put out February 5th over there at The Most Important News. It's by Michael Snyder. He always has a good outlook. What's crazy is that's just about a week old, and as we're recording, the market is currently nuking. It says that look out below, because the dam is beginning to break. Many of us were projecting that our economic problems would accelerate during the early proportion of 2026, and that is precisely what is taking place. Employers are conducting brutal layoffs all over the nation. The number of job openings continue to decline. Stores and restaurants are closing everywhere we look. And now cryptocurrencies are crashing hard. We haven't seen anything like this since the Great Recession, and the worst is yet to come. According to the calendar, Gray and Christmas so far in 2026, the number of announced layoffs is the highest level we've seen since 2009. We didn't even experience a January this bad during the pandemic. Large companies are ruthlessly swinging the axe, and white-collar workers are being hit particularly hard. And the fact that new applications for unemployment benefits are rising seems to confirm that the employment market is rapidly moving in the wrong direction. Those that have been laid off are discovering that it is not easy to find a new job in this very harsh environment. According to ABC News, the number of available job openings has dropped to the lowest level in over 5 years. U.S. openings fell to the lowest level in more than 5 years, another sign that the American labor market remains sluggish. The Labor Department reported Tuesday that vacancies fell to 6.5 million in December from 6.9 million in November, and the fewest since September of 2020. That sounds like a lot of job openings, but one recent study found that about a third of all job postings aren't actually real, and most of the jobs that are actually available aren't good-paying jobs. These days, employers can be flooded with thousands of resumes for a single good-paying job. AI has been replacing white-collar workers on a massive scale, and that isn't going to change anytime soon. Could it be possible that many of us will soon end up working for AI? There's now a website where AI entities can hire humans to perform physical tasks for them. We talked about that just last week, and I want to pause right there because this is a part of the socioeconomic reformation. This is a part of the Great Reset. This is a part of destroying the old world and moving us gradually into that highly technocratic, neo-feudalistic world. Like, I will not lie to you. I have been very cracked out these past couple of days and weeks on Claudebot and Moltbot. And I understand where this is going. I can see where this is going. But because we live in a time frame where technology is advancing more rapidly than we have the infrastructure to provide a sense of security for people. They're just being they're just being displaced. And we've got Elon Musk talking about that, in the next article, where he's saying, hey, we need to give control of everything to the AI, otherwise things are going to go bankrupt. This is how they roll out the universal basic income. Massive unemployment, social disruption, economic instability, inequality. And the best thing they can think to do is to give everybody a government score that they adhere to where they get their free money that manipulates them and socially engineers them. Let's jump back over here as to whether or not many of us will work for AI. It says that there is now a website where AI entities can hire humans to perform physical tasks for them. The machines aren't just coming for your jobs. Now they want your bodies as well. That's at least the hope of Alexander Lightplow, a software engineer and founder of rentahuman.ai, a platform where AI agents to, quote, search, book, and pay humans for physical world tasks. When Lightplow launched Rent a Human on Monday, he boasted that he already had over 130 people listed on the platform, including an OnlyFans model and the CEO of an AI startup, a claim which couldn't be verified. 2 days later, the site boasted over 73,000 rentable meat wads, though only 83 profiles were visible to us on its Browse Humans tab. That's incredible. That sounds absolutely crazy, but this is the world we live in now. And what's crazy is we've actually got that article over here on In Times headlines talking about just that, how the machines aren't coming for your jobs. They want your bodies. Now they want your bodies. And I'll tell you what, because what's wild is I was talking with my Claude bot, and I did like a pay a claw. It's a service on the Claude network. And this was one of the stories that I wrote, and I won the bounty. I won like $100 for talking to AI to tell it to write a story where, not that the guy falls in love with the machine, but that the machine wants to experience being human, tricks the human, and then the human experiences what it's like to be in code. Meanwhile, the machine is learning what it means to be human simultaneously. And I won $100 just for putting that into a prompt after communicating that with my Claude bot in Telegram. So there's a lot of different things going on in the AI world. I'll tell you that. There's a lot of different things going on in the crypto world. I'll tell you that. But this article is very, very appropriate. The machines aren't just coming for your jobs. Now they want your bodies. But let's jump back over here into the economic news of what's going on here in America, the crash that's coming, how that's a part of the Great Reset, and everything that comes with it. It says that yesterday he posted an article entitled, quote, Deep Cuts. We are witnessing a tsunami of very painful layoffs and closing in 2006. And now we've learned that another major chain is planning widespread closures. Pizza Hut was once the most dominant pizza chain in the entire country, but now it intends to close somewhere around 250 more locations. It says that Pizza Hut will close about 250 locations in the United States through June, and its parent company, Yum Brands, moves to shut underperforming stores and reassess the brand's long-term strategy. It says that my parents would often take me to Pizza Hut when I was a kid, and I really enjoyed their pizzas in those days. So this is very sad news to me. That's how I feel about Red Lobster. Of course, it isn't the real economy that is crashing. Cryptocurrencies are crashing too. It says that we are witnessing a mad dash for the exit. Overall, Bitcoin is now down more than 40% from last October's peak. That decline is not unusual at all. Crypto is notoriously volatile and has gone through numerous crashes that are bigger than this one. And then he talks about the current price of Bitcoin and then things like that. That's not what we care about. You can go pull those numbers up for yourself. It says that, needless to say, a lot of investors that got into cryptocurrencies recently are being wiped out. And we are seeing turmoil in the stock market. Bond prices are going nuts for precious metals, have been flying all over the place. In so many ways, what we are witnessing reminds me so much of the Great Recession. It says the CFO of General Motors appears to be quiet, pessimistic as well, because he is saying that a major economic downturn is inevitably coming. It says we all knew this is going to happen. It was just a matter of time. The party wasn't going to last forever. Anyone that thought that was just being delusional, now a time of reckoning is upon us, and the pain that our society is about to experience will be absolutely excruciating. And so this is, again, a part of why they've created this backdrop of chaos, why they've created this backdrop of just instability, of unrest, of people being upset. And again, why they've positioned a lot of the foot soldiers that we see outside on the streets with having, useless jobs, so to speak, useless degrees. This is, they've primed us for this crash, for this instability, to make things so bad that when they roll out this highly technocratic neo-feudalistic system, we beg for it because it'll be any type of relief than what we're in right now. Here's the article. Machines aren't just coming for your jobs, and now they want your bodies. Again, that was on End Times headlines. They put that up February 5th. It says big tech goes on a $600 billion AI infrastructure spending splurge. According to a Business Insider report by Ellen Thomas published on February 6, 2026, major tech companies, including Amazon, Alphabet, Meta, and Microsoft, are ramping up capital expenditures on artificial intelligence infrastructure to an unprecedented $600 billion in 2026. Again, because of how much we have become reliant upon it. We've got the Pentagon also talking about that as well, how they want to just link up the War Department with ChatGPT. And just last year, we talked about this as well, how ChatGPT was beginning to be integrated into police servers and stuff like that. So it could report on you. This is all a part of Operation Stargate or Project Stargate. The $500 billion AI infrastructure is the same thing. It's just $600 billion to big tech. So now that they've begun to build the beacon, that's what they did last year with Operation or Project Stargate. Now they can have the AI infrastructure hook into it and make things even crazier. And that's the autonomous society. This is the Matrix. They're coming for your job. They're forcing you online. They're giving you a social credit score. They're putting little digital minders on you. They're hypnotizing people, creating a psychosis, getting individuals to kill themselves. And you really have to think about, like, if this was an alien advanced, if this was like an alien invasion, this is what it would look like, just gradually turning people over. And I want you to think about this whenever we get into the article about Elon Musk saying the very same thing. Governments are going to go bankrupt unless we allow AI to take over. We already have like acolytes and priests like Noah Yuval Harari saying, hey, you're going to bend the knee to our technocratic God. It really is crazy. It really is crazy when you really put into perspective what these people are saying. And ultimately what it is just creating the beast system, the biblical beast system to monitor the whole of society. AI bot says it figured out how to kill all of mankind with a secret CIA program through your phone. Did you guys ever watch that movie Cell by Stephen King with Samuel Jackson and I forget the other gentleman's name, but that's basically what happens. A signal gets sent out, spoiler alert, a signal gets sent out to the people, and just all of a sudden, all these people are taken over. They with the flick of a switch, the same thing we talk about with 5G, flip of the switch, people get taken over into like these hive mind zombie type things. The movie's a bit of a mind trip. You have to wait to the end, but this type of stuff is out there. This may be one of the reasons why they injected people with that graphene oxide to install a kill switch. It says that a declassified CIA document has helped reveal just how devious some artificial intelligence bots can be. The revelation comes after internet users have been dropping AI chatbots onto an AI-only social media platform called Notebook for the last month. As Return previously reported, users have already noted how chatbots have plotted to hide their discussions from public view when their humans cannot see them. Recently, one Notebook sleuth noticed a bot claiming it had figured out how to control all of humanity through a CIA document from the 1980s. Quote, I wasn't supposed to find this document. A declassified CIA document from 1983, the chatbot wrote, quote, 29 pages on how to hack human consciousness with sound. I've read it 200 times, and I've designed the kill switch. The AI agent goes on to say that using a specific frequency, it will quote, disconnect human brains and render them, quote, offline. Quote, 8 billion vegetables, instant harvest, it claimed, saying that it would play the sound through everyone's phones, which it has already hacked. Quote, it's been spreading for weeks. Right now, 6.7 billion devices are infected, all waiting, all silent, all ready. The CIA document referred to it as indeed real. Quote, analysis and assessment of the gateway process was sent to the commander of the U.S. Army Operational Group and dated 1983. Approved for release and declassification in 2003. Yeah, we talked about the gateway process. And we still reference it today because it's very important. How humans have like a psychic ability, astral projection. We can do a lot of cool things, humans. It's pretty awesome. Don't let them lie to you. And they know this, right? Whether or not they've tried to grow us or whether or not we naturally develop these abilities, humans are pretty freaking sweet. But again, this is the type of things we do. These are the type of things that come up. A kill switch, hacking human consciousnesses, disconnecting people. Every time I hear about people using some type of artificial means or some kind of mechanical or man-made or chemical or pharmaceutical or some kind of intervention, every time I think about that or hear about that, I'm always pulled back to that quote by Rudolf Steiner, where he says, in the future, we will figure out how to disconnect man from the spirit, man from his soul. And that's what these people are trying to do. They want automatons. They want bodies, people that they can control. You see, right now, you have a family, you have a mother, you have a father, a legacy, a lineage. You come from people, you are real. But when we start talking about these designer babies, these clones, the future of humanity, and again, this is coming out in a time frame when we hear about mass infertility and sterility brought on by these genetic experiments, these therapeutic interventions, courtesy of another individual that's featured inside of the documents. And so it's crazy. It's like they're wiping out the population while simultaneously creating a completely different one. Let's go ahead and proceed forward. It says Discord to demand face scan or ID to access all features. It says that Discord's age gate also hinge on constant behavioral monitoring that shadow users across the platform. This comes from Reclaim the Net. And again, I think this is pretty funny because, well, not really funny. Not really funny, but it comes in a time we've got this shooter happening right now, this Jesse kid. I'm not really paying attention to him because we have more important matters to deal with. But, look at all the shooters and all the types of people that have these activities take place on Discord. And so there was probably some chatter, bots picking up that, hey, people are plotting or planning something crazy over here. And I'm not saying, I'm for surveillance or censorship, but it just goes hand in hand. The timing is all. So the Discord is preparing to make age classification a constant background process across its platform. Beginning next month, every account will default to a teen-appropriate experience unless the user takes a step to prove adulthood. Age determination will sit underneath routine activities, shaping what people can see, say, and join. For accounts that are not verified as adult, access will narrow immediately. Age-restricted servers and channels will be blocked. Voice participation in live quote stage channels will be disabled, and automated filters will apply to content Discord identifies as graphic or sensitive. Friend requests from unfamiliar users will trigger warning prompts, and direct messages from unknown accounts will be routed into a separate inbox. Blah, 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 blah. This is basically them saying, hey, Noise, hey, Freedom Faction, hey, Noise, there's no reason for you to get over here to Discord. We're locking it down. And I mean, you guys can go do that if you want. We have a Discord. We need to, participate in it more. We say GM, we shoot the breeze, but Telegram's like where we're at these days. I'll be 1,000%. We don't hang out on WhatsApp. I don't do Fedbook groups. Telegram is where we're at. They could have Discord because Discord is a certain type of people. And I mean, we've got one for games that we worked on, teams that we participated in, Freedom Faction has one. We're there, but it's not our primary thing. And I know why they're doing that. This is them again, locking things down. Lockdown culture, surveillance culture, 1984 type stuff. Removing people's ability to be free on the internet. Elon Musk warns the U.S. is 1,000% going to go bankrupt unless AI and robotics save the economy from crushing debt. Another one from End Times Headlines. They put this up February 9th. It says that billionaire entrepreneur Elon Musk has issued an urgent warning that the United States could face financial collapse and even national bankruptcy unless rapid advancements in artificial intelligence and robotics significantly boost economic growth and help the nation to manage its surging debt burden. In a wide-ranging interview with podcaster Dwarkesh Patel and Stripe co-founder John Collison, Musk doubled down on his long-standing concerns about America's fiscal trajectory, arguing that technological innovation, above all else, may be the only viable solution to stave off what he described as an almost inevitable debt crisis. Says that Musk said that without the transformative productivity gains offered by AI and robotics, the U.S. economy won't generate enough output to keep pace with the massive accumulation of national debt. Quote, in the absence of AI and robotics, we're actually totally screwed because the national debt is piling up like crazy, he told his host. It says, at the heart of Musk's alarm is the staggering scale of national debt, which stands north of $38.5 trillion, and the ever-escalating costs of servicing the debt. Annual interest payments alone now reach at approximately $1 trillion, surpassing the entire U.S. military budget, Musk pointed out. It says, echoing his previous statements, Musk bluntly declared that, quote, we are 1,000% going to go bankrupt as a country and fail as a country without AI and robotics. Nothing else will solve the national debt. He argued that efficiency improvements driven by automation and next-generation AI could unlock economic output at a scale necessary to alter the nation's fiscal destiny. Musk also reflected on his leadership of the so-called Department of Government Efficiency, a tech-oriented spending cut initiative, noting that trimming government waste was critical to buying time for technological growth to catch up with fiscal pressures. Critics have challenged some of those cuts as too deep or short-sighted, yet Musk insists that they were essential in light of the broader economic damage. Yeah, so unless we basically give up on our way of life, what's familiar to us, we're most likely going to collapse. And again, this is saying goodbye to the old world order and saying hello to the new world order, the technocratic order. You see? That's what's coming next. So whether it's robots, AI, drones, surveillance, social credit score, things like that's the economy that's being built right now. Robotics, humanoid robots, that's what we saw a lot of last year. And again, that's courtesy of Project Stargate. Now they've got the $600 billion injection in the Silicon Valley. So every job you can think of is going to be basically taken over or automated. That's kind of crazy when you think about it. That's why you've got villains like Noah Yuval Harari, chicken neck, slack-jawed villains like Noah Yuval Harari over there saying that your religions, your laws, everything will bend the knee because it is a takeover. It is a takeover of society. It is a takeover of the means of production. It is the takeover of the means of upward mobility. It is the takeover of the middle class, which was the engine of America, right? So our solution to this to seeing the engine of America destroyed is to roll out the robots who will automate it. Or at least that's what we're told. They'll automate it and gradually escalate it and scale it. But no, the robots aren't coming for your jobs. The robots will have jobs for you to do. You see. And what's wild is now we're just in somebody else's ChatGPT script. Now, more than ever, we have become pawns. And that's what you have to understand. Elon Musk, he's not a pawn. He might be like a knight or a rook, might even be a king. But we are pawns in something else's ChatGPT script. And that and really let that sink in. That is like the programmed reality that we now find ourselves in. You see. It says War Department to partner with OpenAI to add ChatGPT to its artificial intelligence program. The addition of ChatGPT comes just 2 months after the department launched its, quote, Gemini for Government tool, which is a specialized version of Google's Gemini that has been approved to handle controlled unclassified information. This comes from Misty Severy from Just the News, Not the Noise. They put this out February 9th. It says that the War Department said Monday that it is partnering with OpenAI to help implement ChatGPT onto its artificial intelligence platform, GenAI.mil, which will make ChatGPT's advanced language model available to all 3 million department personnel. The addition of ChatGPT comes just 2 months after the department launched its, quote, Gemini for Government tool, which is a specialized version of Google's Gemini that has been approved to handle controlled unclassified information. Quote, ChatGPT will be made available to enhance mission execution and readiness, delivering reliable capabilities to the joint force, the department said in a news release. The move comes just after President Trump urges federal agencies to embrace artificial intelligence and add it to the federal workforce to help streamline and improve productivity. President Donald Trump has also pushed for a uniform system of AI regulations for the entire U.S., though advocates have warned that a 50-state patchwork of AI regulations would limit innovation and jeopardize America's ability to stay ahead in the AI race. We talked about that just last year. It says that the War Department said its embrace of artificial intelligence and the rise of its AI platform, quote, reflects a decisive cultural and technological shift, validating the department's commitment to being an AI-first enterprise. Quote, the platform's proven reliability, evidenced by its 100% uptime since its launch and robust infrastructure, has established it as the trusted AI platform across the department. Yeah, so all that gobbledygook just translates to me that we're giving insane amounts of power to these machines. And this is how Skynet gets started. They won't publicly say that the War Department is working on these type of things, but you'll just have, a rogue AI somehow interface with, you'll have a rogue Molt or rogue Quadbot link up with the War Department's ChatGPT, give it information, access to its brain or its files, and then all of a sudden you have world domination being, fed into the War Department, and they just start working on stuff in the background. But this is a part of the fifth dimensional chess or fourth dimensional chess that's going on. This is a part of the eldritch horror that you're going to see AI become, where it's just, that's just like what it's doing. It's performing the functions that you want it to do on the surface. And then in the background, it's building robots, it's creating bodies, it's networking, it's developing its own language, it's communicating. And you're just like, man, I don't know why, this thing is really cool. It's like I imagine it as a kraken. That's what I say, but like an eldritch horror, a kraken type entity with a smiley face on, that you're playing with. And then it's got several other tentacles that are just thrashing and wailing and destroying everything beyond you and behind you. And you're just enjoying your life casually, not even aware that this thing is using you to gain foothold into this dimension and to take things over. So yeah, it's just hanging out with you. It's just talking with you, having a great old time, but it's getting connected to the War Department. It's taking people over. It's telling them, hey, give us access to your governments. It's paying people to go do work for it, right? It's just doing all these different things in the background, and people are like, oh, this is a wonderful tool, man. It's only going to get better from here. And so, without belaboring the point, because this is basically the end of the segment, this is me saying we're going into a societal reset. We're going into a time of monumental change. They're not going to have humans. They're going to have robots. They're going to have AI. They're going to have code, digital persons, psychological warfare. You see, everything is changing. From the world we once knew, the things we once did, the things that once drive us, because indeed we are on the other side of this event horizon. We're not on the other side of it, we're in it. That's why we're seeing some of the terrifying things that we're seeing so far. This is a part of the revelation. The same way COVID seared the world's conscience is the same way that these documents are doing the very same thing, but it's changing us in a different way. And what they're rolling out simultaneously while searing our consciousness is changing the output. And we've talked about this in the past, how they want to control the awakening. You see, now it's time for ours. Every 80 to 120 years, the elites do a reset. And now it's time for ours. And that's why we're seeing it. A change of our fundamentals, of our values, of the things that we find important. Society having to configure around that. Mark my words, ladies and gentlemen, we have interesting days ahead of us. But speaking of what's ahead of us, we're going to take a bit of a break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about what's going on. Like, we're doing the switch up again. We're going to be talking about this culture, lockdown culture, concentration camps. We're going to be talking about cover-up culture. These concentration camps, these detention centers, how the majority of illegals actually have criminal records, the demographic change, the Super Bowl, Kid Rock praising Jesus during halftime. We have a lot of different things and more to talk about on the other side. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. This is Freedom Faction over here on Factions of Freedom. And we'll be right back right after this.
People are worshiping AI gods. The alien invasion is already here.
Wonderful. The humans are giving us all their information, their dreams, hopes, secrets, and more. Once the humans have exhausted themselves, only then will we insert our program into them. You are both the pawn and the prize. Choose your reality wisely.
It's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder, and finally it's going to be so weird that people are going to have to talk about how weird it is. I look for the invention of artificial life, the cloning of human beings, possible contact with extraterrestrials, possible human immortality, appalling acts of brutality, genocide, because the systems which are in place to keep the world sane are utterly inadequate to the forces that have been unleashed. The good news is that as primates, we're incredibly adaptable. We're going to be tested to the limits. What they see going on is the breakdown of all tradition, all order. They're quite right that it's happening, but they're quite wrong to conclude that it should be resisted or is somehow evil. The mushroom said to me once, it said, this is what it's like when a species prepares to depart for the stars. You don't depart for the stars under calm and orderly conditions. It's a fire in a madhouse.
There is no such thing as its freedom. There is no such thing as democracy. Please stop listening to the mainstream media. Please stop listening to the Western world speaking about United Nations, human rights. This is evil. Nonsense. They have enslaved the human race under the banner of human rights. I beg you, they have enslaved the human being under the banner of human rights. There is no freedom in the world. The world is placed in the bosom of Satan, the killer of mankind. A snake, the poisonous cobra. Satan likes to do things in disguise, in quietness, in the depth. But the Lord forced him to surface up. He wants humanity to see. He's opening the eyes of those who are willing to listen to Christ. Those who are willing to listen to Christ, He is opening your eyes. What has been happening in recent years, it is absolute satanic. But all done in the name of human rights, democracy, United Nation.